A lot of people don't realize that when you are mad, it's for your own good. When you're mad, when you just get madder and madder and madder and madder and madder. I think the car agrees. I posted on my Instagram that you learn more when you're mad. When I was I was in a point in my life where I was really mad. And I expressed that you learn more not only when you're honest, but also when you are mad. Welcome back to the channel. If you've never been here, if you're new here, I am Angela, also known as the End Roll. Welcome to the channel. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share the content because we going up. So today's topic is about being upset, being angry, being mad, being furious, suffering from madness. This is another topic that I am qualified to speak on. And if you feel qualified to speak on this topic, feel free to share your thoughts below in the comment section. If you don't feel qualified, but you can relate to the topic of being angry, upset, furious, mad, feel free to express your thoughts in the comment section. Now let's get into this video. We as human beings have plenty of opportunities to get mad, to get upset in this life, to become enraged, furious, even to the point of being vengeful. And feeling like you want to get revenge, or feeling like you got a vengeance to, you know what I mean, get some kind of payback for something somebody has done to you, or maybe something somebody said to you. And, you know, there's levels to anger. And, you know, when we first start dealing with the issue of anger, it's at the lowest level. The thing about anger is, just like everything else, you know, when it comes to emotions, natural human emotions, they all start off at the low level, and then they increase, they develop over time. And when it comes to anger, this is something that if you don't get a grip on it, if you don't recognize that you have anger issues, and recognize that they are a problem and that they're affecting your life in negative ways, you know, if you don't get a handle on them, they will get worse. We can put this in many different perspectives and scenarios. You can relate anger to your parents. Parents can relate anger to their children. Adults can relate anger to their family and friends. We can relate anger to our coworkers. We can relate it to our bosses or our managers or supervisors. We can even relate it to ourselves. We can relate anger to our siblings. Like I said, family members, but I'm just getting specific. And I'm doing this for a reason, okay? You can relate it to your siblings. You can relate it to your cousins. You can relate it to your ex-husband or your ex-wife, your ex-boyfriend or your ex-girlfriend, your current boyfriend or your current girlfriend. There's plenty time, space, and opportunity for us to get angry, right? And sometimes, because we're unaware that we have anger issues that need to be addressed, our anger can get us in trouble, and our anger can explode and get out of hand. This same anger is related to in-laws. When you get married and then you got to deal with your husband or wife's family, and then it's issues when it comes to dealing with the family of your husband or the family of your wife. We can relate anger to strangers passing us by in the store, bumping into us, or strangers staring at us, not even saying anything to us, and we're angry. It's important that we are able to recognize when we have an anger problem. And this is the whole point of me making this video. And see, we got to understand that the thing about having an anger problem that makes it so dangerous is that if you're unaware of how much of a problem it is in your life for you and for other people, a person can make you angry. They can make you snap at them, and they didn't even do anything to deserve it. And it's because you have an anger problem. You have a lot of unresolved anger that is buried deep down within the inside of you, and you're not addressing it. Some people, you could tell they got an anger problem, and they don't even, maybe they know, but they just don't care. Or maybe they know, but they just don't know how to handle the situation, what to do to solve the problem, or what to do to heal the deep-rooted anger issues that they have. But there's some people, you could tell that person is angry. They have an anger problem, and you could tell because it's within the energy of the person. They don't even have to say anything. Just their facial expression will say it all. It's written all over their face. Their body language, the way that they communicate, the way that they use their words. These people, some of these people, they just always have an attitude problem, and it seems like for no reason. But there's a reason. And the reason is deep down within that person's heart. Deep down inside of that person's heart is the reasons. Deep down inside of a person's mind is the reasons. In the back, way in the back of a person's mind is the reasons why they have these deep-rooted anger issues. Because they push it to the back of their mind. It's in the subconscious mind, and it's brewing and bubbling up in the bottom of their heart. And I use the words brewing and bubbling up because the image of a witch's pot full of magic potion popped into my mind. What else popped into my mind was bile. the stuff that you throw up that's yellowish green. And I think God is making me think this way because he's sending me these images in my mind because he wants y'all to understand, and even me to understand, that that's what anger issues is. It's like a witch's potion. You know, it's a concoction. It's many different things mixed together and brewing together. And this imagery of this magic potion, this concoction, this witch's brew, it's like God is giving me this as an example of our issues. Because a person can have anger issues on top of some more issues, on top of anxiety issues, on top of porn addiction issues, on top of sex addiction issues. And it's just all marinating together and just all in one big old pot at the bottom of your heart and in your subconscious mind. And if you have this potion, this concoction of issues brewing and bubbling in a pot at the very bottom of your heart, where you feel like people can't see it or won't know that it's there, or it's in the back of your mind, it's in your subconscious mind, and you feel like, you know, it'll go away on its own. It was put there. You know, it was put there, and it has to be removed, right? But we can't remove it ourselves. God has to remove it for us in his own ways and in his own perfect timing. Sometimes we as people will do our best to ignore what is hurting us because we feel like it's easier. But we can't hide our issues. The reality is that healed people will recognize your issues. Healed people will be able to know. The ones that have the light of God, the ones that have the Holy Spirit is who I'm referring to when I say healed people. The ones that are filled with the Holy Spirit will know a broken person. A Holy Spirit filled person will know a person that has issues that they are not dealing with, that they are not addressing, issues that are unresolved. Because it's like night and day, you know, being healed and being broken. And you know what we as people will do to hide our issues? We will go to extremes. We will even step outside of our character to hide our issues. By having sex with people that you know ain't even on your level. By being in a relationship with a person that you know ain't even on your level. By dealing with people, being friends with people that you know ain't even on your level. You know, by being an alcoholic and a drug addict, when you know that type of behavior is beneath you. By being a shopaholic, a compulsive spender, when you know you don't need all that stuff. Come on, somebody. We will overeat to hide our issues. We will oversleep, don't want to face the world, to hide our issues. You know, a person that you think is lazy, and they actually are lazy, but sometimes it's because they have depression, and sometimes it's because they have that concoction, that witch's brew in the bottom of their heart, in their subconscious mind, that is torturing them, that is making them sick to where they cannot function normally. You know what we will do? We will stay in a dysfunctional relationship to hide our issues. The fact that you don't want to be alone. The fact that you're always sad. That you don't know how to find no peace of mind and no joy. We will overdrink to hide our issues. We will oversmoke to hide our issues. We will oversleep to hide our issues. We will overdo it. Just overdoing it. Just OD. You ODing. You know you could OD without doing hard drugs. Public service announcement. You can OD without doing drugs. But you know the thing about it is sadness turns into anger. When it goes left unresolved for too long. You know, when you can't trust God for too long. That butterfly was God's way of rewarding me for making sure I do the video right. Because I had to re-record that last clip like 3-4 times. So he sent me that butterfly to say good job. So no matter how hard we try to hide our issues, healed people will recognize them. And you know what healed people will do? Healed people will try to help by offering you a kind word, a kind gesture, even something as small as a smile. They will offer you a kind suggestion. They will make a video like this. So, like I was saying, when you don't address the fact that you're dealing with sadness, and it's all the time, there's a reason why God will allow a person to constantly deal with sadness. Just like there's a reason behind everything that he does. It's a reason behind why he will allow somebody to constantly deal with the issue of anger. Why he will allow somebody's anger to turn into fury and rage and vengeance. God allows these things so that he can accomplish his purposes. Even if it doesn't make sense to us, it makes sense to him. I'm just going to share a little bit of scripture with y'all before I tell you this story that I want to share. So this is out of Proverbs chapter 25 verse 2. New International Version. It says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter," or to hide a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings. A lot of the time when you go through things and you don't understand why you have to go through so much, it is because God wants you to become a king and he wants you to become a queen. And in order to become a king and a queen, you have to do some digging. You have to investigate. You have to study. You have to become wise. You have to become intelligent to be called a king or a queen, because it is the glory of God to conceal a matter. And it is the glory of a king to search and seek it out and find out what's really going on, to find out that truth, to be that truth seeker. So I'm going to tell y'all the short version of me and my anger and the results of my anger. So like I said, it starts off at a low level, and the low level that your anger will start off with is your attitude problem, and then it will increase from there, and it will become more of body language. You'll become more of an aggressive type of person. Then your words will start to become more aggressive, and then, it's even worse when you have an alcohol problem, like in my case. So I'm going to share a story about my anger in hopes that it can help somebody. So I first noticed that I had anger issues, I would say, when I was living in Virginia. That was 2015. So fast forward. I had received a revelation that I would have to come back to my hometown in Pennsylvania. And I really didn't want to come back. I didn't want to go back because I felt like I hated my hometown, and I didn't want to be around my family members. I felt so disconnected with my family because I left my hometown when I was 8 years old, and I moved to California with my mom and my sister, and I grew up there, and I just basically lost every relationship that I had with my family members. And so, I really didn't want to come back. I was at the time looking for a new place to start my life over again. I just wanted a new place to start my life over again because I was disappointed. My dad disappointed me. And when I think of the word dad, I think of my Father in heaven. But, my earthly dad, I don't even know if he's really my dad or not, to be honest with y'all. But my dad disappointed me. And I was living 3 doors down from this guy that was stalking and harassing my life. And I was miserable. And I was like, I got to get out of here because I went crazy. I lost my mind. I was working at Amazon. I lost my mind. I was slowly losing my mind. And I was trying to find a new place to go, and I could not seem to find a place. So one night, while I was drinking and smoking, mind you, I felt like God spoke to me, but it wasn't an audible voice. It was as if I heard him, but not in an audible voice, just in the spirit, say to me, you're going to have to go back to, the city where I'm from. And he was like, your grandma is going to get sick again, and you're going to have to go back. And it hit me like a ton of bricks in my heart. It hit me like a ton of bricks in my spirit. And I just broke down and cried. And I was trying to figure out, is this me saying this because I don't have nowhere to go, or is this actually God saying this? Like, am I just imagining this? So I left my apartment in Virginia, in Hopewell, Virginia, in June 2021. And I came back to my hometown. And fast forward, I got into some trouble. Some legal issues came my way because of my alcoholism. I'm clean now, but back then I was a alcoholic, but not a high functioning alcoholic like I used to be, but I was still an alcoholic because I was still overindulging in beer. And I would just drink my beer and smoke my Black and Milds and be merry. That was like one of my favorite things to do. So I got in some legal issues. I got in some trouble because of the beer and because of my anger. The issues that I got into with the police was towards the end of the year, the end of 2021. In the year 2022, I was dealing with the stress of getting into these issues with the police, getting into these situations where, I knew I had some legal issues now, and I didn't want to face them. I didn't want to face the results of my own actions. So I left. I got early termination of my rental contract, and I got kicked out for being too loud, for too much noise, because I was always bumping my music, and I was going through heavy spiritual warfare. Okay, fast forward. Now I'm in North Carolina, and I'm trying to start all over again with my life like I was when I was in Virginia. I was trying to start over, but I couldn't start over with peace of mind, because I knew I had some legal issues that I did not face in Pennsylvania, and they were constantly haunting me, constantly on my mind. Okay, it was a point where I was in North Carolina, and I didn't have the money to pay for my car insurance anymore, and I was just rolling with no car insurance. But it was so funny because I ended up staying with this guy for a little while, and he ended up telling me that they said they're not going to pull you over if you don't have car insurance. Not just car insurance, y'all, registration and car insurance. I couldn't believe it. And it was funny because the guy that I was roommates with for a while, he didn't have no registration either, or no car insurance either, I don't think. It was just so funny. And I said, look at God. God is awesome. He's amazing. He's amazing. So fast forward from there, I was always looking over my shoulder. I was hyper vigilant. And you know what I learned? I learned that when you're hyper vigilant, I think that means that you have post-traumatic stress disorder or something. But anyway, so, because I had Pennsylvania plates and I'm in North Carolina and I ain't got no registration and no insurance, you know what I mean? I was on high alert, like, yeah. I was drinking often too because I was stressed out. And very on edge, very high strung. I could not relax. I didn't have no peace of mind. And then I ended up finding out that I had 3 warrants out for my arrest for the 3 times that I ran into the police. I had 1 DUI charge, which was a second offense, and I had 3 warrants, 1 for that and 2 for disturbing the peace. And after I found that out, you know what I mean? It was, to me, I just couldn't maintain. I couldn't maintain my sanity because I knew I would have to come back to my hometown to take care of my legal issues. And I had already said I wasn't coming back the first time in 2021. Now I got to go back again. So upon learning that news and receiving that information, I was angry. My anger was just increasing by the day. So fast forward, I turned myself into jail. I'm angry to do that. I'm angry. You know what I mean? I find out how much time I got to do in jail. I'm angry because of that. 90 days. I'm angry. When I get out of jail, I'm like, I'm not going back to stay with my mom at my grandma's old house. I'm going somewhere else. I'm not staying in my hometown. I'm not doing it. So I told them I'm homeless and I'm trying to go to rehab. Because I knew, God was saying it's that time. If you don't change, like, it's not going to turn out well for you. It's that time. So they sent me to a rehab, and I was angry at the rehab. So I was trying to work through my issues. I was praying. I felt like I was doing the best that I could to maintain my relationship with God. I was reading the Bible in jail. I enjoy reading the Bible, the NIV Bible, excuse me, better than the King James, because the King James, you got to have a dictionary on hand so that you can look up all them words that you don't know what they mean. So I was enjoying reading the NIV in jail. And I was getting a lot of peace from that. But you know what I mean? I went through some things, okay, where my anger was uncontrollable. I couldn't control it. Same thing when I went to the halfway house. After I finished the program at the rehab facility, I went to a halfway house. And I just could not shake the anger. I could not shake the fury that I was feeling. And y'all, I now understand why I was so angry. I was experiencing understanding in the moments that after I was angry in jail, the moments after I was angry in rehab, and the moments after I was angry in the halfway house. I was getting, the understanding of why I was so angry. And it was more than one reason. But it all was basically based on the state of my life as it was, the state of my life, like the way that my life looked. I just couldn't take the way that my life looked. And this is a message for somebody. Catch it. The way my life looked made me feel angry, sad, depressed, and anxious. Now, I told y'all all that just to get to this point right here, just to get to this part, just to tell you this. When I was in rehab, I remember I was trying to find out which halfway house I was going to go to. And I was scared. I was afraid. I was nervous. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. I don't know if I'm going to get along with them girls. Because when you go to rehab, you got to be around a bunch of people that you don't know. And that's not something that I'm used to. Just like being in jail, you got to be around a bunch of people that you don't know. You got to eat with them. You know what I mean? They looking you in your face. It can be very overwhelming for somebody that likes to stay to themselves and not be around too many people. But you can learn and you will grow from it if, you are ready. If you are ready to. And anybody that's out there struggling with any kind of drug addiction, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, I do encourage you, if you have not gone to rehab for your substance abuse issue, I do encourage you to go. Because God is saying, it's time, baby. It's time. It is a growing experience. It's a very valuable growing and learning experience if you are ready. And that depends on you. But when I got to the halfway house, y'all, I felt like I was going to thrive. I was going to do well. And that's just not what happened. Now, this is the moment we all have been waiting for, the conclusion of this video. So, when I was in rehab, I got a sign from God. And it's amazing all the signs that I got when I was in rehab, when I was in jail, and when I was in the halfway house. God was really speaking to me in different ways. Something that he sent for me to see. It was the word Jonah from the book of Jonah in the Bible. The story of Jonah. He allowed me to look at the tile in the shower floor in the bathroom that was in the room that I was in rehab. I looked at the word Jonah on the tile floor of the shower in the bathroom that was connected to the room that I was in. When I seen the word Jonah, I received from God the message that I will go where he is sending me. I will go where he is sending me to. While I'm worried about where I'm gonna go to a halfway house, and I'm thinking that it's my choice and my decision, I will go where he's telling me to go. Just like Jonah had to go where God was telling him to go. And even though he tried to run, he still ended up there. So y'all, in Romans chapter 9, I just want to read some of it to you to bring this message together, so y'all could get the full understanding of why I've shared all that I've shared in this video. So, in Romans chapter 9, starting at verse 18, it says, "Therefore, God has mercy on whom he wants to have mercy, and he hardens whom he wants to harden. One of you will say to me, then why does God still blame us? For who is able to resist his will? But who are you, a human being, to talk back to God? Shall what is formed say to the one who formed it, why did you make me like this?" It goes on to say, "Does not the potter have the right to make out of the same lump of clay some pottery for special purposes and some for common use?" It says, "What if God, although choosing to show his wrath and make his power known, bore with great patience the objects of his wrath, prepared for destruction? What if he did this to make the riches of his glory known to the objects of his mercy, whom he prepared in advance for glory, even us, whom he also called?" This is my Bible that I got in jail, and I love to read this Bible. It's called the Celebrate Recovery Bible, the NIV, New International Version. Okay. Y'all, if you don't have a Bible, I encourage you to go get one and start reading it. If you don't have the desire to read the Bible, but you want to draw nearer to God so he could draw nearer to you, I encourage you to pray about that. Acknowledge that in your prayers to our Father in heaven. Just like if you have a Bible, but you don't have the desire to read it, acknowledge that in your prayers to our Father in heaven. Once you have the desire to read it, but you can't seem to sit down and crack it open and read it, to actually do it, I encourage you to acknowledge that to our Father in heaven. That's the end of this video, y'all. If you made it this far, like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, and share the content with anyone that you feel may need to see this type of content at this time. With that said, stay tuned and stay virtuous.